The stellar observatory Vagari drifted silently through the Carina Nebula's outer reaches, its crystalline sensor arrays glittering in the light of distant stars. Chief Observer Telam adjusted her gravity compensators as she studied the unusual energy readings emanating from a nearby pulsar. Like all Merax, her translucent skin rippled with patterns of bioluminescence, expressing her growing excitement. "Director, these readings are unprecedented," she called out, her voice resonating through the ship's atmosphere in perfect harmonics. The pulsar's emissions contain patterns that suggest artificial modification. Director Venera glided across the observatory deck, his own skin pulsing with skeptical yellow patterns. The Merax had explored this sector for centuries without encountering another spacefaring species. Natural phenomena often appear artificial when. A violent surge of energy cut him off mid-sentence. The ship's sensors screamed in alarm as space itself seemed to tear open before them. Through the rift emerged a vessel that defied comprehension, a behemoth of dark metal and pulsing energy weapons that dwarfed their research ship. Its hull bore markings in an unknown script. UES HYPRION. By the first light, Telam whispered, her skin now pale with shock. What manner of beings could build such a thing? The answer came sooner than expected. Their communication array activated, projecting a holographic figure onto their deck. The creature stood on two legs, wore some kind of artificial skin, and spoke in a language their universal translators struggled to process. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth ship Hyperion. You have entered restricted space during a classified military exercise. Please identify yourselves." The Merax crew stared in fascinated horror. They had no concept of restricted space or military exercise. Their civilization had evolved past the need for weapons millennia ago. Yet here was a species capable of both faster-than-light travel and warfare. Director Venera composed himself, his skin shifting to diplomatic blue patterns. "I am Director Venera of the Stellar Observatory Vagari. We are peaceful researchers studying stellar phenomena. We mean no intrusion." Captain Chen's expression remained neutral, but her posture relaxed slightly. "Our sensors indicate your vessel is primarily equipped for scientific research. However, we detected energy signatures consistent with our theoretical models of spacetime manipulation. Care to explain?" Telam moved forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. "Your vessel emerged through an artificial spacetime rupture. We were merely studying natural phenomena. Are you suggesting your species has mastered controlled spacetime manipulation?" A slight smile crossed Chen's face. "That information is classified. However, I am authorized to offer you an opportunity. Our scientists would be very interested in comparing notes about your stellar research. In return, perhaps we could discuss some of our less sensitive technological achievements." Director Venera's skin flickered with warning patterns. "Captain, while we appreciate the offer, our protocols for first contact situations." "Director," Telam interrupted, her patterns showing intense excitement. "This is unprecedented. They've achieved things our theoretical models suggested were impossible, and they're willing to share knowledge." "Knowledge that appears primarily focused on warfare," Venera countered. "All knowledge has value," Chen interjected, surprising them with her grasp of their philosophical concepts. "We developed space-time manipulation for exploration first. Defense came later, when we discovered we weren't alone in the galaxy." Telam and Venera exchanged meaningful patterns. The implied warning in Chen's words was clear. There were threats out there that the peaceful Merax might not be prepared to face. "Perhaps," Venera said carefully, "a limited cultural and scientific exchange would be beneficial to both our peoples." "Excellent," Chen replied. "With your permission, we'll establish a secure dock between our vessels. Welcome to first contact, friends. Try not to be too alarmed by our Marines. The weapons are ceremonial, mostly." As the massive human warship maneuvered alongside their observatory, Telam's skin rippled with both excitement and apprehension. The Merax were about to learn just how complex, fascinating, and terrifying their galaxy truly was. And somewhere in that darkness they all feared, ancient eyes watched the meeting of peaceful scholars and warrior explorers with great interest. Everything was proceeding according to plan. Captain Chen stood in the Hyperion's primary conference chamber, studying the shimmering patterns rippling across Director Venra's translucent form. After 3 days of cautious diplomatic exchanges, she still found the Merax's bioluminescent communication fascinating. The aliens' research into stellar phenomena had already proven invaluable, though they remained deeply unsettled by the human vessel's military capabilities. Your species' understanding of pulsar mechanics is remarkable, Lieutenant Commander Raj Patel said, manipulating a holographic display of their combined stellar surveys. But I'm curious why you focused so heavily on this particular sector. Telom's skin flashed with academic excitement. We detected unusual quantum signatures in several pulsars. They appear to be. A deafening alarm cut through the chamber. Captain to the bridge. Emergency Protocol Alpha. The AI's voice carried unmistakable urgency. If you'll excuse me, Chen started, but the ship lurched violently, throwing everyone off balance. The Merax's natural gravity manipulation kept them stable while the humans scrambled to regain their footing. Multiple unknown contacts emerging from quantum space. Lieutenant Santos's voice crackled over the comm. Energy signatures off the charts. Chen rushed to the bridge, the Merax delegation following in concerned curiosity. The main view screen showed a terrifying sight. Massive crystalline structures, each larger than the Hyperion, materializing from swirling quantum vortexes. Their surfaces seemed to absorb light itself. By the first light, Venra whispered, his skin pale with recognition. The Harbingers. They were real. You know these beings? Chen demanded, already calling the crew to battle stations. Ancient legends speak of crystalline demons who devoured entire stars. Telom explained, her patterns showing deep fear. We thought they were myths, cautionary tales from our pre-scientific era. The largest crystal ship pulsed with otherworldly energy. A transmission penetrated all their communication systems, accompanied by a psychic pressure that made humans wince and caused the Merax's patterns to strobe in pain. Colixitors of Inanodudilleg, warriors of Mittel. Your DIFFERENC is RAIRELEVANT. Your energy, will feed the CONVRGNC. Weapons locked, Captain, Santos reported. But our readings can't make sense of their composition. The Merax's observatory ship suddenly transmitted complex data to the Hyperion's computers. Their crystalline structure, Telom explained quickly, it's similar to the quantum signatures we detected in the pulsars. They're not just consuming energy, they're manipulating space-time at a fundamental level. Chen processed this information with military efficiency. Can we use that knowledge? Perhaps. Venra's patterns showed intense calculation. Our stellar research, if we could replicate the pulsar's quantum frequency. We have the technology to weaponize it, Chen finished. Santos, work with them. Everyone else. Battle stations. Looks like humanity's first contact just turned into humanity's first interstellar alliance. The crystalline ships launched their attack, beams of dark energy reaching out to drain both vessels. The Hyperion shields flared while the Merax's vessel generated quantum interference fields. Neither defense would last long alone. Their energy drainage is increasing exponentially, Telom reported, her scientific detachment warring with terror. The process appears similar to how they consumed stars in the ancient records. Then we better solve this fast, Chen growled. Because I didn't come all this way to become space vampire food. Santos, status on that quantum weapon. Converting the pulsar data now, Captain. But we'll only get one shot before they adapt. The Harbinger ships encircled them, their crystalline surfaces fracturing and reforming in impossible patterns. Each change made their energy drainage more efficient, more deadly. Resistance is volatile fuel. Your energy will serve greater PTTERN. Like hell it will, Chen muttered. Then, louder. Director Venra, I need your people's expertise. Can you modulate your quantum interference field to match our weapon's frequency? The Merak's leader's skin rippled with understanding. A combined attack. Yes, we could create a resonance cascade. Do it. Santos, on my mark. The crystalline ships pressed closer, their drain intensifying. The Hyperion's shields began to fail as the Merax's interference field flickered dangerously. No. The human warship's main cannon fired a beam of modified quantum energy just as the Merax vessel released a perfectly tuned interference pulse. The combined effect struck the largest crystalline ship at its core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then reality itself seemed to shudder. The Harbinger ship's crystalline surface began to vibrate, cracks spreading across its impossible geometry. The quantum resonance cascaded through its structure, turning its own space-time manipulation against it. With a silent explosion that briefly created a new constellation, the massive ship shattered into 1,000,000 glittering shards. The remaining Harbinger vessels retreated instantly, quantum vortexes swallowing them back into whatever dark dimension they called home. Their final transmission echoed with something neither species had expected to hear in such alien minds. Fear. VPATTRN. Disrupted. New calculation required. We will return. In the aftermath, humans and Merax worked together to collect data and repair their ships. Both species knew this was only the beginning. The Harbingers would return, stronger and adapted to their defense. Well, Chen said to Venra as they watched their crews cooperating with increasing comfort, still think our military technology is unnecessarily aggressive. The director's skin rippled with newfound wisdom. Perhaps there is much our peoples can learn from each other. After all, it was the combination of your strength and our knowledge that saved us both. Then let's make sure we're ready for round 2, Chen replied. Something tells me we're going to need everything both our species can bring to the fight. As if in agreement, the nearby pulsar pulsed with quantum energy, its pattern now recognizable as both a warning and a call to arms. The galaxy was changing, and only together would they survive what was coming. Trial by fire. The combined human Merax fleet hung in high orbit around Europa, Jupiter's icy moon now serving as their primary research and defense station. In the months since first contact and the Harbinger attack, both species had worked tirelessly to prepare for the inevitable return. Captain Chen watched from the Hyperion's bridge as another hybrid vessel emerged from the construction yards. Sleek human military design merged with Merax quantum manipulation technology. How many does that make now? 15 hybrid ships completed. Tilam answered from her new station. The Merax scientist had become an invaluable member of the crew, her species' intuitive understanding of quantum mechanics complementing human tactical thinking. But our latest scans show increasing quantum disturbances throughout the sector. They're coming, Chen said grimly. The only question is when. The answer came sooner than anyone expected. Space rippled across the entire Jovian system as hundreds of crystalline ships materialized. But these weren't the same vessels they'd faced before. The Harbingers had evolved, their crystalline structures now incorporating elements of both human and Merax technology. Adaptation complete. The PATERN will NOTB denied. The battle that followed pushed both species to their limits. Human warships unleashed salvos of quantum-enhanced weapons, while Merax vessels created complex interference patterns, trying to disrupt the Harbinger's space-time manipulation. But the enemy had indeed adapted. Our quantum resonance isn't working. Santos shouted as another hybrid ship exploded. They've integrated some kind of dampening field. Chen watched in growing desperation as their carefully planned defenses crumbled. Then she noticed something. A subtle fluctuation in the Harbinger's formation every time they fired their energy-draining weapons. Tilam, Look at their firing pattern. Is that what I think it is? The Merax's skin flickered with sudden understanding. Yes, they've had to synchronize their quantum fields to prevent feedback from their adapted weapons. If we could force them out of sync. All ships. Chen broadcast to the fleet. New targeting solution incoming. Time to show these crystals what happens when you push our species to the edge. Knowledge is power. The battle's aftermath brought both victory and sobering revelations. While they'd managed to drive off the Harbinger fleet by exploiting their synchronization weakness, the cost had been heavy. Half their hybrid ships were destroyed or crippled. Deep within Europa Station's Quantum Research Lab, Director Venra and Lieutenant Commander Patel made a stunning discovery. The crystalline fragments they'd collected weren't just weapons or armor. They were data storage devices. It's incredible, Patel explained to Chen and the Joint Command Staff. Each crystal shard contains eons of accumulated knowledge. The Harbingers aren't just consuming energy. They're collecting information from every civilization they destroy. But why? Chen asked. What's the purpose? Telam's patterns showed deep concern as she analyzed the data. According to this, they believe they're working towards some kind of universal transcendence. Each civilization they absorb brings them closer to what they call the ultimate pattern. So they're religious fanatics? Santos asked incredulously. More like cosmic librarians gone terribly wrong, Venra suggested. But this knowledge might be the key to stopping them permanently. As they delved deeper into the Harbinger data crystals, they discovered something even more startling. Evidence that other species had fought this enemy before. Some had even survived. The final stand. The quantum pulse that heralded the Harbinger's final assault shook the very fabric of space-time. This time, they didn't just bring ships. They'd brought a crystalline structure the size of a small moon, its facets reflecting distorted images of every civilization they'd ever consumed. Targthatqrt. The PTTER Nieres Kilgobmemplet1. Your resist ANCAs PROVTUKHI. But humanity and the Merax were ready. Their remaining ships had been modified based on the knowledge extracted from the crystal fragments. More importantly, they'd managed to contact some of the surviving species mentioned in the Harbinger records. Ships of designs never before seen by human or Merax eyes emerged from quantum space. Organic vessels that seemed to breathe, geometric constructs that defied physics, and things that could barely be perceived by normal senses. All had come to stand against the cosmic collectors who had plagued the galaxy for too long. This is Captain Chen of Earth. She broadcast to the assembled fleet. Today we prove that knowledge isn't meant to be hoarded. It's meant to be shared, to help us grow together. All ships, execute Operation Shatterpoint. The battle that followed would be remembered in the histories of a dozen species. The Allied fleet struck from multiple dimensions simultaneously, using techniques and technologies shared freely between civilizations. Every time the Harbingers adapted to one approach, 3 more hit them from unexpected angles. The massive crystalline structure began to crack, its perfect pattern disrupted by the chaotic but coordinated assault. The Harbinger's final transmission carried something they had never expressed before: understanding. The PATTERN. We see no. True Tran as CE and DE and CEQ Koamias no tiva from Koalistichon, but Ephraim Koanetikichon. The explosion of the Harbinger worldship created a quantum cascade that would make nearby space dangerous to navigate for centuries. But as the Allied fleet regrouped, there was a sense that something momentous had occurred. So, Chen said to Telam as they watched the various alien ships departing for their respective homes, "What do you think their ultimate pattern really was?" The Merax's skin rippled with thoughtful colors. Perhaps we discovered it for them. Not the absorption of all knowledge and energy into one supreme being, but the connection of different species working together. Chen finished, each bringing their own unique piece to the greater whole. Indeed, Director Venra added, his patterns showing optimism. And now that these connections have been forged, the real exploration can begin. Chen smiled. I hear those geometric ships from the Andromeda Galaxy have some fascinating theories about dark matter. As the combined human-Mirax fleet set course for Earth, the stars seemed somehow brighter. The galaxy was entering a new age, one where knowledge and power would be shared rather than hoarded, where difference was celebrated rather than consumed. And in the quantum frequencies where the Harbingers once dwelled, new patterns were emerging. Patterns of cooperation, patterns of peace, patterns of infinite possibility. The end. Last edited 2 minutes ago.